Welcome to the Living Big podcast, where we're all about embracing life to the fullest. Hey, I'm Marley.
And I'm Kylie, and we're thrilled you're here. We explore how to pursue our passions, nurture meaningful connections, and inject some serious fun into our lives.
We're here to show you you're not alone.
And we want to do what we can to ease the stresses of everyday life and help you in your journey of living big.
Welcome back to another Monday episode of Living Big. We're so excited to be here with you. And as you can see, we have our very first guest on the podcast.
Hello.
She is cute as heck and our guinea pig. So thank you for being here with us.
Of course. Happy to be here.
This is Megan England. She's my sister-in-law and one of both Marley and I's very best friends.
Absolutely.
And so we had to bring her on the podcast. But before we introduce her, we just wanted to say, first off, we've been blown away by the reception of our podcast. We can't believe how many people are already listening to it and have enjoyed what we have to say. So thank you so much. We're really, really touched by your feedback and your ratings and your reviews, and we live off of those. So thank you so much for those.
Absolutely.
This is the beautiful Megan.
Hello. I already said hello, but hello again.
We want to know a little bit more about who Megan is.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about some of the things you enjoy and your family as well.
Okay. Sounds good. So I grew up in Washington. Love it there. It's beautiful. And I have 2 little girls and an amazing husband named Nathan. And I currently am a stay-at-home mom and absolutely love that. It was always what I really wanted to do. And then I have big plans and goals for once my kiddos are in school. I am hoping and planning on being a child life specialist. That's what I've been working towards. That's what I got my degree to get me towards. And I just absolutely love kids. And that's just one way I feel like I can really help kids is by being a child life specialist. I don't know if you guys know what those are.
No, I want to know a little bit more about what child life specialist is.
So basically, the way I see it is kind of like play therapy. So you work in a children's hospital for the most part. I think they can have child life specialists. Other hospitals aren't geared towards children necessarily, but mainly in in children's hospitals. And basically you're playing with the kids that are sick or struggling, and you also kind of talk them through things like the procedures they're going through, or just making them feel as safe and happy about their horrible situation as you can. Aww. So that's my goal, and I know it'll be super fulfilling to me, and so I'm just really excited to actually get started on that.
That's so cool.
But right now I'm absolutely loving being at home with my own kids, and that's something I truly cherish and love and have so much fun doing.
Your girls are so cute. Tell us a little bit about your girls' ages and all that.
So my older girl is Olivia, and she is almost 3. She turns 3 next month, which is exciting.
That's so crazy.
She's super fun. I know.
So grown up.
I know. She is very creative, very imaginative. She is always playing some kind of make-believe something, and very sweet. And then I have a 1-year-old named Hazel, and she is the cutest 1-year-old I've ever known. She is just so fun. She is the happiest little thing and just wild. She just climbs on everything.
Daredevil.
She is a total daredevil. She just loves to climb, and I always say that she kind of plays more like a boy. She just is really rambunctious and more rough and
less scared.
Yeah, no fear in her at all.
That's awesome.
Which is fun.
I love both of your girlies. They're so cute. Also, tell us a little bit about how you met Nathan as well.
Okay. We met the classic BYUI experience. We were actually in 3 classes together the first semester I got to school.
But not on purpose.
Not on purpose. And this is kind of a funny story. He was dating before I got to school, just a bunch of different girls, but didn't really feel like I was going anywhere. So he said a prayer that he would have a girl in 3 of his classes. And I didn't know this until we were engaged, because otherwise I'd been whoa there.
Sketchy.
A little bit much. But anyways, so he prayed that prayer, and then I was in 3 of his classes, which is pretty unheard of. especially because our majors were drastically different. I was at the time majoring in editing, writing and editing. I don't know what the actual major is called. And he was like doing some kind of science thing. So totally different ends of the spectrum. And we ended up in 3 classes together. And he asked me out the very first day, went home and announced to his roommates that he had a girlfriend and he didn't know her name.
I didn't know that part.
I feel like you gotta know Nathan for this story to really hit.
His confidence levels are up here.
Yeah. He's like a manifester too.
Yes,
He's just
that's
like,
so true.
Maybe all
this
have.
will
He's like,
happen.
I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah. Maybe we all have his confidence.
Seriously.
I love that.
So yeah, that's how we met, and I wasn't like, you know, the love at first sight, love at first date. It was not like that for me. I don't think it was for him either. Like we enjoyed each other and we had like a good
if he went
time.
home and said he had a girlfriend, it was.
Well, that was just after he met me.
Okay.
So after our first date, we were both like, like,
interesting.
meh, because it was like an awkward date that we were like with people that we didn't know, and so like, just not a lot of conversation, I guess. And I was the main problem there. I just wasn't feeling very talkative that night, so he went home and he was like, "Well, she doesn't want to talk to me," but it all worked out.
You both gave each other another chance?
each other another chance and opened up, and now we never stopped talking. So there's that.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
No, I remember first meeting you. I was already married to my husband, who is Nathan's brother.
Yes.
And I literally remember just thinking in my head, like, oh my gosh, he can't screw this up because I want her to be my best friend. And I can't be best friends with my brother-in-law's ex-girlfriend. You know, so I was like, I just hope, not that he was going to screw it up, but I was just like, I hope this really works for me. So selfishly, it was all about me. But genuinely, Megan is an incredible mom. She's such a beautiful example to me of motherhood and just the amount of love that you can give kids. And so we felt like it was appropriate to bring her on to this specific podcast episode. And we're going to be talking some more about some of the things we wish we knew before becoming moms and some of the things we learned afterwards in an effort and a hope that you can learn some of these things if you haven't had kids yet. If you have, maybe it will just resonate with you. Yeah. And we just want to talk about and prepare people as much as possible. It's not like you actually can be prepared fully to have a kid.
Nope.
You can't be prepared for anything in life.
Even if you babysit from the time you're like 6 years old, like every
best
week.
nanny in the world. Like
this doesn't do the preparations that you need.
No, and you never know what you're gonna get with kids. And anyway, just like anything in life, I genuinely think like it's awesome to have a plan and to try to be prepared, but there is going to be so much unknown and so much that is going to surprise you in both delightful and maybe hard ways as well. And so we thought it would be super fun to bring Megan on for this episode and kind of talk about the things that we've learned so far. This episode is also not meant to discourage you, but it's to remind us that it's an ongoing process, right? That motherhood is something that we need to have grace for ourselves every step of the day. And I think one thing that's really important to me is that you're creating your kid's childhood, but you're also creating your own motherhood. Mm-hmm. And I think that is such a beautiful thing and a really important thing to remember because it helps you have that grace and it helps you like focus in on your experience as well, not just the kid's experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
I love that because I don't know about you guys, but I just remember as a little tiny girl, like pretending to be a mom.
Yeah.
And like, that was like what I wanted to play all the time is like play mom. And now that I actually am, it's like, just like what you're saying, like this is my motherhood and I only get it once. Like I know I could play it back then, but this is real. And this is like my one time to be like the best mother I can be.
Yeah.
And so
I love that.
did you be mom when you were
Yes.
little? Like
Oh,
I feel like every
absolutely.
little girl's like
Let's play
putting their
house.
baby to sleep,
Yeah.
giving them a bottle, all the things.
Play wife, play mom.
Well, and then when you move into
This is finally real.
into babysitting and like nannying and all that
Yes.
fun stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like,
Like, I am
getting to
the
practice
best
this.
mom.
Yes, it's gonna be so easy.
Oh, if only.
I know, life hits you so hard in the face later.
Like, oh, my child hates me? Great.
Oh,
Didn't expect that.
Usually goes away.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in our
It's
stage,
only like
toddlerhood.
10 minutes. It's like fine, but
I can't speak to the
can hurt a
teenagerhood.
little.
yeah.
Oh, and this is something we've also said over and over, but I think it's really important to remember that there are times and seasons for all things. So there are times where it's going to be like really difficult. And then there are other times where you feel like maybe you've got things down a little bit more, maybe as your kids age, maybe not as they get into the teenagerhood. I don't know, but life ebbs and flows. And so remembering to try and go with it and just be patient with yourself, with your kids, with your journey is also really beneficial.
Yeah. I was thinking about how, like, parenting, like you just said, is like a learning experience. We're just figuring things out as we go. And I was thinking about how our kids would not benefit from if we did know everything and if we knew how to be the perfect mother all the time and always made the right choices and did exactly the perfect thing every time, that would not like help our kid as much as we like dream up that it would.
Yeah.
Because it's in those like struggling times and in those bad experiences where we like do make a mistake and then we like go and apologize to our kid or we just are in a really tough learning experience. It's then that they learn too. Like I'm learning in those hard times, but they're also learning from my example. So if I was just like doing everything perfectly every time, that would be like discouraging to them and it wouldn't like help them to learn like how to actually live life and to like fix things when things go wrong or to like keep trying at something that comes hard to you or just things like that. Like kids need the struggle. And so if we just like push that aside and try to be perfect mother all the time, like that's not going to help them as much as we think it would.
Well, I mean, kind of just building on that, I feel like what you were just saying, kids need the struggle. I mean, we've kind of talked about it before, how we believe that like, we're here to learn, we're here to figure things out, right? That's just like a pillar of life. And I just feel like if I'm not able to like mirror what I want my kids to learn, then how are they going to learn that, right? Like, so one of the things we're working on with Leo, he's 3 years old, is being able to like, you know, deal with his emotions and things like that. And that's not something that I was really good at growing up. And it's something that I'm learning now as a mom and trying to be better about. And I feel like that's something that is just like, I feel like kind of this zillennial group, we're all just like reparenting ourselves. And we do that like alongside our kids kind of a thing. And so I'm hoping that, you know, we're doing it right and that it
and that's the thing that
helps.
happens every generation.
Yeah.
Because you take what you learned from your parents and the things that like really helped you and that you look up to them for. And then you try to work on the things that you feel like maybe didn't go the way that you would hope that they had gone.
Yeah.
So it's not like even just this generation, it's every single generation that always happens. Like you always try to be a little bit better. And that's what life's about. Like you just learn from you learn from history, you learn from the past to like hopefully make the future better.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think another important thing too with this specific topic, that parenting's a learning experience, is for some reason as a kid I thought that when you became an adult you have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But it turns out you're still figuring it out.
We're all just winging it.
Until
An
the
adult
day you
is
die.
just a title. It floats out there in the universe that means nothing.
It means nothing.
But along the lines of like allowing your kids to see you make mistakes because it helps them learn how to become a person.
Yeah.
We also are still doing that. We're still becoming a person even as an adult. We're just like capital A's as far as like kids are lowercase a's, you know, maybe we know a few more things.
Right. Yeah.
So we can give them guidance and direction, but we're still figuring it out too. So having patience both with yourself and with your kid as you're figuring that process out and not like trying to put off an air of perfection because like you said, that's not going to benefit the kid, but it's also going to be really harmful for yourself.
Yeah.
Because we're
and
still
I feel like
figuring it
harmful
out
to them too, because like that's gonna make them feel sad. Like if you're like just putting off this like perfection persona, like, and then they make mistakes all the time, which they're going to, we all do, then I feel like that'll just make them sad.
Yeah.
Like, my mom's never doing something bad. Like, why do I do bad things all the time? Like,
Right.
that's
Like, what's
gonna
wrong
like
with
hurt
me?
their little hearts.
Yeah.
So it's good to like show them like I did something wrong and
I'm also a human.
I'm gonna fix it and it's okay. Like
And hopefully, you know, being an adult means that we have a little bit more control over ourselves.
right. We hope.
But I think the key here is just allowing ourselves to be human and allowing our kids to take a peek into that window and just like recognizing we're all learning.
Yes.
It's okay. We all make mistakes. And
Yes.
I think that's amazing.
I love that.
One quote that I wrote in my journal from December of 2018. So this was before I ever had kids. And you guys know I love to share snippets from my journal. So
It's so good.
a window into my little mind back then. But I really loved it, thinking about the lessons learned about motherhood. I just said, what kind of influence can I have on the world? The best kind will be through my motherhood to my very own babies.
Oh, that gets me. That's so sweet.
And I genuinely
so
believe
true.
that all of us, like, the most important work that we're ever going to do is within the walls of our very own home.
Yes.
Both with ourselves, our spouses, and our children. And so hopefully this episode can also just help you to really focus on that and to love the journey, to embrace the journey of motherhood, and to just jump into all that it is, all
Yeah.
the good, all the bad.
Yeah.
It truly is the most important. When you think about life, like, relationships are like the most important. And then even further, like, the relationships with your own family. And so, like, thinking about, like, the relationship that I have with my parents, it's like I want to create that, like, kind of relationship with my own kids. And so that's, like, the ultimate focus right now for me, is to just, like, give all my time and attention I can to my kids so that we can create the best relationship.
Yeah.
I love that. I
so
love it. It's really sweet.
So sweet.
All right, we're going to kind of move on to pregnancy. We've all had kids. Kai is currently pregnant. How you feeling, Kai?
Good.
Yeah.
Surviving
Ebbs
over
and
there.
flows, you
Yeah.
know? There's days I'm like, oh, not too bad. Other days I'm like, if you'd asked me this morning, my poor husband, he went and got a physical, yearly physical. He came back to say hi to us before he went to work. And on his way to work, I was like, please don't leave. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. He's like,
The
what's going on?
emotions.
Yeah, and I was like, nothing genuinely. Like, it wasn't one specific thought. I was like, I'm gonna cry. I just cried, and he sat on the bed and held me for a little bit. So I'm like, it depends on when you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay? This morning,
Not
when you
so
asked me if I
great.
was okay, burst into tears. Literally have zero clue why. Pregnancy, it's a wild ride.
The hormones.
See, here's the thing, though. It's like I'm 7 months postpartum.
Yeah.
And the same thing still happens. That was like me today. I didn't get really good sleep. And so I've just been like out of it and on the verge of tears for no reason. And I'm like, well, it's because I'm tired for one, but also postpartum.
the sleep.
Just, it hits you.
To be fair, just being a woman and
Yeah.
having the reproductive cycles that we have.
Let's just throw that
Right.
out there. Just being a woman.
Again, this is not pregnancy related, but I feel so bad because I've been on continuous birth control for health issues since I was like 14. So my husband never knew what a cycling Kai looked like. It got ugly. Been married, and dating for a couple years. Dating
like,
and married
what is
for a
this
couple
side
years.
of you?
Yeah. You can be mean. I'm like, yeah, it turns out I can't. Just kidding.
Watch out.
Sucks to suck. Just kidding.
That's hilarious.
Anyway,
married all
I
of
had,
you.
I had a friend in high school that he was hilarious, and when anything like emotional or like dramatic would happen, he would just go like, my hormones are raging, and that has always stuck in my head. Like, that it feels so true sometimes. Where you're just like, I don't know what's happening, I don't feel like I have control, but my hormones are just
Something's happening.
raging. And I just think that's just hilarious. It's always stuck with me.
I feel like that would be like too triggering for me, and I'd just be like, no, as a dude. No, sir. I love how guys just go through life and they're like, oh, I just got a physical, and just like everything's all good to go, and you're like, I've been through everything for the last few years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, we want to bring attention and light to that, the fact that everyone has their own experience with pregnancy. Mm-hmm. We know people who have had really tough pregnancies, who have had to be hooked up to IVs, who have been absolutely miserable the entire time. And then there's some people out there who just have a magical ride. It's really not that terrible for them. And
that's okay.
And that's okay.
To have differences.
Pregnancy and just like you said, kind of Kai, just being a woman, there's really completely different experiences all across the board for everyone.
Yeah.
So just bringing attention to that, and want to acknowledge that everyone has a different experience. So I mean, we may share pieces of our story, but that doesn't mean that that's how pregnancy is. That's how birth is. That's how child rearing is. It's just our experience, and we definitely want to acknowledge that it can be tough.
Yeah. We want to support all kinds of moms.
Yeah.
And pregnant moms. And
Yeah.
moms in any shape, form, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, some things for me that I did not anticipate when pregnant. It's long.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, no one told me how long it would feel. It feels like it lasts forever. And then you look back, like now I have a 1-year-old. I'm like, that year was the fastest thing in the, like that. How did that happen so fast? But then in pregnancy, I'm like, if I think about being pregnant again, I'm like, that's going to take so long, but it's less than a year. So
For me, my second pregnancy, it felt like went way faster than the first one. The first one was like forever. I don't know if it was because it was in like the wintry months.
Yeah.
And like that was tough.
I also think first pregnancy, you've never experienced it before. And
That's
it's not
true,
that
yeah.
second pregnancy is going to be the exact same.
Right.
But it's just less like unknown.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
time you're like, did the baby just kick? I don't know what that is. You know,
Right.
like, is my belly stretching? I don't know what this is. Like everything is so foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And then second pregnancy, same thing for me. I'm like, oh, I'm already 25 weeks. Like, wow.
how'd that
Yeah.
happen?
Last time I was like counting down every single week and they were at least 2 months
You do
long.
kind of forget about it second time around.
Yeah.
I don't know about
And maybe-
third, fourth, but like it just slips your mind a little more because you're busier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you also have a toddler running
Yeah.
around. And so
And time goes at warp speed with children, so it just feels faster once you already have one.
it's just totally different. So I did not expect that. But the first time for me, it was very long. And I was like, 9 months? That's almost a year of your life.
Yeah.
We don't always think about that. Plus, I mean, it's 9 months of pregnancy, right? But it's really a full year of the hormone challenges.
Of
Or more.
everything.
Way more. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard when you haven't met your little person. It can feel like you don't know them and maybe don't have like a, strong connection with them just yet. Even I feel like when they're born, it can be tough to feel that right away.
Yeah.
To just be like absolutely in love with this little human, right?
Yeah. It doesn't always come immediately,
Right.
like starry-eyed, like
Right.
dream come true. This is like my perfect baby. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you got to learn them.
Yes.
You're meeting a new person, so it makes sense to just need a little bit of time to like really feel that connection
Yeah.
to like kindle and
And again, I think it's also so different for everyone because in my experience, it was very similar to what you were saying, Marley, about just like, I love them, but like, I don't know
them.
who
Yeah.
they are. They don't know who they are. But then I've also had friends who are just like, from the instant moment, it's like soulmates, like
Yeah.
feel so bonded.
Yeah.
So it really is just totally up to you and your situation, your experience, how you connect. But if you don't feel super connected right away,
Just
know that
it's
you're
normal.
not. Yeah, you're not weird, and that's not bad.
I felt like with my first one, I just like it was just so new and like crazy to me. Like I was so excited and I absolutely loved the little baby in me, but I just felt like so disconnected. I was like, I don't know this person, and I think it had a lot to do with that it was all new. But with my second one, it was like the opposite. I like immediately, like even
Felt the
before we
bond.
knew the gender, I was like, I know it's a girl with like every fiber of my being, I know. And then it was, and so I just like immediately felt like that big connection. And so I think even like different pregnancies, you can like feel different levels of connection. And that doesn't mean like you love one kid more or less. It's just like the
Different.
situation is
Yeah.
different, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I
I'd
love
agree
that.
for sure. And I feel like, at least for me, through my second one, it was really exciting to see my toddler, kind of become aware of what was going to happen
Yes.
and help him through that transition. That was definitely like difficult, but it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever seen is to see a little person be excited about another little person and for him to have that little
cute.
bond with her. I'm just like, it's not just about me, becoming a mom again and having another baby, but like now I have to kind of like help navigate and guide this other person
Adding to the
into doing
family.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No longer being the only one, but like, it's going to be okay. And mama still loves you. And like, and if
Yeah, that
anything,
is
like,
a tough one to navigate.
yeah. And I felt like it just like deepened my love for him, being able to see him transition into like, I'm the big brother now.
So cute.
So-
He's such a good big brother. Oh my gosh, he's the sweetest.
We're going to get into, we've talked about pregnancy, and now we're going to get into birth. We're not going to go too crazy with it, just because we'll probably have like a separate podcast or something like that episode where we get into like our birth stories and things like that later. But they're obviously things that I did not know into birth.
No, there's 1 million things.
There's probably at least
a
a
bit
million.
of surprise to us.
Yes.
Some in really good ways, some in it's like, hey, we're going to tell you right now so you know
Right. Yeah. I
that
think
it's an option.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I wish that I had known is to be fluid, right? It's a bodily experience that usually is supported by other people, and people who know more than I do about my own body, kind of a thing, usually. So I think I wish that I had known to just be a little more flexible, fluid in the experience. I was that way with my second birth, and it was way more enjoyable. I also had found a provider that was kind of in that same mindset of like fluid and flexible kind of a thing. So that's
Just
two
kind of
things.
like trust your body
Yeah.
as it goes instead of like demanding that it does certain things at certain times.
When
Yeah.
that's maybe not even possible.
Right.
Yeah.
When you said fluid, all I was thinking was literally, it's a very fluid experience.
It's a very physically.
There's a lot of fluids.
A lot of fluids.
I was not prepared. Were you prepared?
No.
I mean, like, people
I
talk
imagined.
About,
I'm
yeah,
like,
people talk about like water
makes
breaking,
sense.
for example.
Well, you watch
know,
it in the movies and it's like once and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not a continuous like.
it's a wet
waterfall.
experience.
It keeps going.
It's a wet experience.
It's amazing how much is inside of you.
Yeah.
That just
That
makes
just
its
keeps
way
on
out.
coming.
You're not peeing yourself. I mean, you could. I didn't.
Maybe
but
you are.
Who knows?
Could be.
You never know.
You might be doing other
They probably
things to
won't tell
yourself.
you either.
Yeah, that's true. They want you to like have some dignity.
I mean, there was no dignity for me at the end there.
No.
Straight up nude. By the end, just fully.
Whatever.
Here I am.
Whatever you gotta do.
Just lay
I gotta
bare.
get it out. One way or another.
Doctors, wow, that they are phenomenal. Like, for that regard, at least for me,
Yes.
the nurses and everything that I had for my first one, just they roll with the punches and
Yep.
they see some crazy things.
Be a little bit traumatizing.
And they just
for
embrace
me.
you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, let's help you. Anyway, I thought that was amazing too.
My favorite is right after you have a baby and they take you into the bathroom and they show you how to like take care of yourself postpartum as you have this gaping hole inside and outside of your body, both of them, right? And just it is the most like sweet and sacred experience for me. Like birth in itself is beautiful and sacred.
You
bringing
trust
a
this
human into this world.
stranger.
But yes, when you trust that stranger to help you like wipe and
And
change
it's
your
so
own diaper.
vulnerable.
And
like-
you're just like, I'm a mess and I feel awful and they're just so good. Like I want to cry thinking about
I'm glad you had that experience. Mine was not the same for that part.
fired.
No.
That person needs to be fired.
Labor
You need that.
and delivery,
kind.
amazing. For me, the mom and baby portion, which I know not all hospitals do, but they were two different things for me. And in mom and baby, that's when it was not
Not as good.
Not the good
as
experience.
nice.
Oh my gosh.
It was very rough and tumble, so I was like, I haven't slept in like 20 hours.
That's awful. No. Oh, well, I'm very sorry. It's
okay. We'll
It's
have
better
to
the
hear
second time
it.
around.
It all is very vulnerable though,
Yeah.
and so that point does like stand for every woman, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
you just have to embrace the people in your room and allow them to help you because you
I had
need
a
it.
Right.
super funny experience. I totally forgot about this until right at this moment, but
Perfect.
I for some reason I had my second baby at a really tiny hospital in Star Valley, Wyoming, so there's like not even OBGYNs there or anything, and I just remember my second baby came out like lightning fast, and
That's awesome.
it's
We're hoping for Kai.
yeah. But I just remember there was this random dude in the room, and I had no idea who he was. He wasn't a doctor, and I don't know why he was in there. But I remember still, I have no idea who he is or why he was there. Like he looked like a janitor or some like vending machine dude or something. I have no idea.
Interesting.
It was super weird, but I remember like so vividly, like looking over, like as the baby's flying out of me, like looking over, and he's just like deer in the headlights, like, why am I witnessing this? Why am I
was he
here?
there?
I don't think he wanted to be.
He didn't know why he was there.
It certainly did not look like he wanted to be. And I was like, I felt so bad for him. I was like, I'm sorry you had to see that. But I have no idea who he is. I still have no clue, but it's kind of hilarious.
Poor guy.
Like, I know, seriously, poor guy. That's not something you want to just happen upon.
If he had never seen childbirth before, he's prepared. He's ready for it now.
Helped him.
You did.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
that's brave.
It wasn't my choice, but it was hilarious.
Oh man.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So birth, it can be like, okay, I'm sure we all had the realization, this thing has to come out of me.
There's no other way.
Right.
Yeah, you
So
can't just-
somehow it's got to make its way out of me.
However that happens,
Right.
it comes out.
Right? It's not
And
gonna
it's
just,
going to be painful either way. Like, however it comes out, it's not going to be pleasant.
I mean, yeah. But on the flip side of that, I mean, everyone has been born. Mm-hmm. We're you look around at humans, they all survived.
Yep.
You know? And
No, literally, after I
It's
had my
natural.
baby, I remember going to Walmart, not obviously day of, but like
Right.
in the couple weeks after that, literally walking around, and I was just shocked. I was like, every human being I see here was born out of a woman.
Right.
Man, womanhood is amazing. I literally felt so empowered. I was looking around, I'm like, every woman in the world is incredible because they birth these humans.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
3D printed their own babies. Not nuts.
And just the birth itself, I'm like, let alone the building of the child,
Right.
the nurturing of the child. But because my birth was so crazy, I could not like wrap my mind around that. I'm like, every person we have ever talked about at school, seen, who's gonna live after us, they all come from a woman
Right.
and from her body, and that is
It's crazy.
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful, all
Insane.
of the things.
Yeah. It's a ride. It's an absolute ride.
Yeah.
And it may not be the most fun experience, or it may be difficult or things like that, but it is so incredible. It's so sacred. It's so beautiful. And I just feel grateful.
It can be fun.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be like just straight joy
Yeah.
the whole time. And that's probably not like always the case, but even like throughout, even if you're having a really hard labor and delivery,
Yeah.
you can still find snippets of joy and like feel that sacred nature of
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yep.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It is probably the most sacred thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is
For sure.
that to know if you haven't experienced it yet. Like, it really is some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows. Like, it's not a medical emergency, but it is probably the hardest thing your body will ever experience and endure.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's so beautiful because you get to actually bring life out into the world, and it's something you've created. It's so amazing, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to diminish that. Like, it is a big deal.
It's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And
for
it's
sure.
so beautiful. Literally, I've never felt like closer to death, but also like
Yeah.
more alive than it's just
Yeah.
it's this weird dichotomy of like
Yeah.
anything could happen and I'm bringing life to the world. It's so beautiful.
I mean, you're talking about like the low lows and the high highs. I feel like I felt a lot of the high highs because I had some tough lows as I was laboring both times, kind of a thing. You know, it's just like I had some really tough experiences, and then by the end I was like, I freaking did that! Like, oh my gosh! And you just feel like you're on top of the world. I mean,
Yeah.
like you have this cute little human and you feel really close to your spouse and whatnot, and that's amazing, but then also like you're really proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Like
it's true.
however you got your baby out of you, like
Something
via-
to be proud of. For
yeah,
sure.
like C-section or vaginally, whatever. Can we say that on here?
Yeah,
we can
for
say that,
sure.
right? Okay. Then like all of it is just incredible, and I hope that, you know, if you get to experience that moment, that you are proud of yourself, no matter what happens in the birth,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you are proud because you absolutely deserve it.
Even if it doesn't go exactly how you hoped or planned, yeah, it's still something to be proud of.
It's
for
incredible.
sure.
Yeah, my biggest, I guess, like advice to someone who hasn't experienced it and what I wish I knew before is just that there may be moments where you feel like you cannot do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that
But you
is
have
so
no
real.
choice.
Yeah, you have no choice, but also you can.
yeah,
Yeah.
Every single person you see was born.
right.
You can do it. You absolutely can. And so when you are in that moment, if you have that feeling of like, I can't do this, you're going to make it through. And
Right.
you are going to get the baby out. And it's going to be beautiful and difficult and all the things, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it as a woman.
Yeah.
Even when you think you can't.
Right. And I mean, you probably are doing it. That's
Yeah.
the thing, is like when you're already in that moment, you are doing it.
Even though it maybe feel like you're not.
Yeah.
And you're drowning in pain or
Right.
whatever else, you're doing it. Your body is doing it too.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. That's something I didn't really realize, is just how much your body like knows how to do
Yeah.
what it needs to do. It's so cool.
So cool. Yes. Leaning on the people that are there is awesome as well. If you're like, I can't do this, like, lean on those people.
So
Lean on your
with my
people.
my epidural did not work at the end, when the most crucial part for it to work.
The ring of
If you're
fire.
expecting it
I'm
to
glad
work.
you like flew out of you though.
Yeah, that was a huge blessing. But I just remember I was crying, saying I can't do this, as I'm sure a lot of women do.
Most of
I
us say
literally
that at some
can't do
point.
this. And I just remember the nurse. I don't remember her name. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere. But she just came and got right in my face, and she's like, "Listen, you can do this. You have to do this, and we're here. We're gonna help you. You've got this." And I just remember I'm like, okay.
There's no other way.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna do it. And I just what you're
Yeah.
saying, you need to have that support system and
Yeah.
and to rely on the people around you, because it is such a tough experience.
Those birth workers like that
I
are,
know.
I feel like, just of God. They are a different breed. To be
If you're
able
choosing
to
to do that, yeah.
Absolutely.
A couple other things I just want to mention about birth. Some things you maybe don't know is that you get to choose how you want the experience to go. Obviously, up until a certain point, right?
Right.
Like, the baby has to come out of you, and those kinds of things. And
And if there's
emergencies or
complications
complications,
or-
your doctor's going to. But you get to be the advocate for yourself the entire way. And if that's something that's hard for you, then make sure you have a support person that can help you.
Yeah.
Yes. So true.
I could not have done it without my husband. I know there are amazing women who do.
Yeah.
And have no support, and I think that's incredible. But that would be another piece of advice I would offer, and something I didn't even realize before I had birth, is that having someone there to support you is life-changing and crucial.
Yes.
And there are moments where you simply can't advocate for yourself because you're going through a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So having someone there who knows what you want and can help you
Yes.
and help the doctors and the people in the room with that process is also super important.
Right. I totally agree.
So those are some things I just didn't know about birth. I thought, there's a prescribed way. The doctor will tell you.
You have to do this and then do this
Yeah.
position,
And in my
It's up to you.
pregnancy, I figured out, oh no, I have a lot of control
Right.
over what happens and X, Y, and Z, and I get to kind of choose how I want that to go.
Yeah.
Not that it is going to go exactly how you want it. That's not what I'm saying. But you do get to be an advocate for yourself, and you get to choose what you want to do,
Yeah.
which is pretty empowering and awesome.
Yeah.
Agreed. I love it. It's awesome.
I think we could talk about this forever.
I know.
Yeah,
We'll
you need to
move
do
on.
another episode for sure on your
Exactly.
birth stories. That will be so
Yes.
fun. I will look forward to listening to that one. So the next topic of discussion is raising humans and what we wish we knew about that whole ordeal, which is a lot.
Still learning.
Still learning.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, it's just a learning process for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely.
One thing I feel like I didn't realize, and I kind of did, but I don't know. It's just different than you can fully anticipate, is the love that you feel for tiny humans that do nothing is unmatched.
It's also-
Genuinely.
I feel like I always explain it as a pleasant surprise.
yeah.
It's you know, but
Yeah.
it's also so happily surprising at
When
how
you
deep
feel
the
it.
love is.
Yeah, it's beyond
I will
comprehension.
give anything and
Yeah.
everything for this little
Yeah.
thing.
Literally, I would die for it's beyond comprehension. You say those things, you picture them, you imagine them, and then feeling them. I'm there would be so many times where
crazy.
literally I'd look at him and I was like, I think my actual heart is going to explode. Actually, I don't know what to do.
I
The
love it
actual
so
muscle. So
Oh, it's so
that was
true.
a beautiful, happy, beautiful thing.
thing that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Couldn't know. Because
Couldn't know.
you can't know until you experience it.
A
Yeah.
pleasant surprise. I
Yeah.
love that. Yep. Absolutely. Totally agree.
One thing that I had thought of is just the fact that committing yourself to the well-being and the happiness and the teaching and growing of your child is so rewarding. I figured it would be. I mean, I spent a lot of time like babysitting and nannying, and I loved being with kids, loved teaching them and stuff. But the fact that it's your own kid, like you just said, it makes it so much more special. And I just didn't anticipate how rewarding it would be. And I there are some days where I like feel like, oh, I'm like, oh, I didn't get anything done, like, and I just feel like the day just flew by and I just didn't accomplish the things I wanted to. And whenever I like tell that to my husband, he always like sits me down and he like lists out all the things that I did that day.
That's so
He's
cute.
like,
That's
so kind.
you made them breakfast, like just like the basic things that I'm like, that's just like what I do every day. But he's the like pointing it out to me. I'm like,
see
okay,
how
I
much you
did do a lot. Like I cleaned all the bedding. I'm like, that takes like hours to do. Like just like things like that where I'm like mindlessly doing
my
it.
kid to the bathroom
Like
17
20 million
times.
times a day.
Potty training is no joke.
No.
I wish I had known
Not
that.
there yet.
Yeah.
I know that. That's
So
why I'm
just-
scared of it.
It's so worth it and so rewarding.
Oh, I know.
So good.
But yes, it is. no
Once you
joke.
get those diapers out of the way, so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the rewarding feeling you get when like you're just accomplishing things and you can see that through your child's growth.
Yeah.
And through the things they're learning and through their happiness too. My toddler today had like a really, I don't know, I'm not still unsure what was wrong, but she was just so sad this morning and I couldn't figure out why she was sad. And I was like trying to do everything, like pulling all of the stops, like to get her to be happy, singing silly songs, like reading her books, and she was just sad. And I was like, it broke my heart more than anything else. I'm like,
We were having a kindred moment, me and
yeah,
Lily.
you guys are just sad. Yeah. But so that just like goes to show that like when you do like recognize all the things that they are learning and accomplishing and you're helping give them that joy and the happiness in their life, like that's what like feels the most rewarding.
Yeah.
As a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I at least for me, and I'm sure for all of us and anyone who's had kids, but for me personally, I feel like I have learned and will continue to learn more from my children than they probably will learn from me or are learning from me.
Yes.
Like I'm doing my best, right? You know, I'm trying to teach my kids all the fun things, but I just feel like I'm learning so much about myself and how like the kind of human that I want to be.
Yes.
And mirroring that for my children. And there's so many layers to it of what I'm learning as a mom.
Have you ever heard
did
the
not realize.
saying, if you want to learn, teach?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I
It
feel like
applies so well here.
Yeah.
like there are things you think you know, and then when you're actually teaching a kid and you're watching them experience it, that's how you're like,
Right.
okay, now I'm actually learning this for
Yes.
the first time. Okay.
Well, I was just thinking, so like we had to learn Russian.
Yeah.
Russian is not an easy language, but not only did we have to learn it, we had to teach people.
In Russian.
We didn't have to teach people Russian. We had to teach people in Russian. So we
I
had
had
to,
to speak to people about a topic
right,
that they didn't know anything about
that they didn't know anything
in a
about.
language we barely knew.
And that maybe we weren't even experts in.
Yep.
I wouldn't consider myself an expert at the time, and even now I wouldn't consider myself an expert. Anywho, so we had to teach people in a language we didn't know. And it helps you pick up Russian so fast.
Yeah.
And I
When
feel
you
like
teach,
it's the same way with kids. Like I'm teaching my kids how to be
nice.
like
How to be
nice and
compassionate.
vulnerable, compassionate,
Yeah.
all these like big emotions kind of a thing that like I didn't even quite like think about. You know, you just kind of do it. But then you have to name those things. You have to teach your kids how to like regulate their nervous system. Like
And then you're like, wait, do I know how?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never even had to think about that.
Wait a second. Sweet, I'm learning.
Right.
This works for you? Turns out I didn't know this works for me too.
And it's in a language that we didn't know before,
Yeah.
but it's like my baby's weird language. You know? So you have
That's
to
so
like
true.
calibrate and learn on the go.
It's so awesome.
Yes.
Though.
Oh,
I love it.
it's a lot of work.
One of my favorite things about raising humans is that you get to live life all over again.
Yeah.
I think that is so special and sweet and cute because I don't know, there's something about childhood that is so magical. Don't get me wrong, I love certain aspects of being an adult. But thinking about childhood and just like the freedom that you have and like all those things and experiencing things for the first time, finding passions you never knew you had as a kid, like for the first time, it's so beautiful. So watching your kids do that is so amazing. It's so fun.
Yeah,
I
seeing
love
the
that.
world through their eyes is
Yeah.
truly magical. Like everything is exciting and new and beautiful, and it's so fun.
It's one of the best things.
Yeah.
Like just seeing my kid be excited for Christmas or be excited
Yeah.
about like,
Yes.
or me being excited about whatever he's excited about, right? Leo's way into like tractors or cars or things like that. And we'll watch the movie Cars every single day kind of a thing because he just loves it. And it's just so fun to see like what's interesting and exciting to him. And I just love
Yes.
it. Just soak it up.
Well, and
Also
this is-
opens your eyes to be excited about things that you
Yeah.
never think to be excited
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
before. It's like, yeah, I see bubbles all the time. Bubbles aren't exciting. And then you're like, wait, they
Bubbles
are
are the
so
best.
cool.
they're the best.
Like when you see a little kid like popping bubbles, I'm like, wow, those are fun.
I want to pop
Just
some
things
bubbles.
like that.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of like go on with your life and like think nothing about it. But yeah, it really helps you like slow down and like,
Yeah.
wow, the life is beautiful.
Yeah.
My husband and I saw an acquaintance recently who has 7 kids, and his last 3 are triplets. So that's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And they're 2 years old. It's been quite a journey for them.
Yeah.
I found myself just like, I probably just interviewed the wife for like 45 minutes because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I need to know all the details. Like, how are you alive? How are you doing this? Like, how are the kids? Like, tell me everything, everything like that. But the dad of these 7 kids, he said something so cute. He was like, for the people who don't have kids, he's like, you only get to live life one time. He's like, I get the opportunity literally to live it 7 more times. He's like, I just took my 2-year-old to Walmart the other day. He was sitting on my shoulders and we walk into Walmart and he goes, whoa, Dad, so big. And he's like, you know what, buddy? It is kind of whoa. Like, Walmart's kind of whoa. And it's like, that's so sick.
cute.
I love that.
So I love that idea of just, yeah, you get to experience it over and over and over again
Yeah.
with your kiddos.
Well, then that's on us then to be, receptive to how they see that. At least for me, we try to say yes as much as possible just because you never know what your kid's going to want to do or what they're going to learn, what they're going to figure out, right? And so, like, it may be something random or boring or whatever to us, but to them it may be like a really good learning moment kind of thing. So
that's so true.
being able to say yes to things like that, like, can we go for a drive? Like, Leo just loves to drive around kind of a thing. I don't know why, but he loves it. I'm like, cool. If that, like, calms you down or whatever you need that for, like, I'll try to say yes when I can.
Yeah. And to like cultivate their interests and like really try to encourage the things that they like find entertaining or fun or exciting. Like just bring them as much joy as you can.
Yeah.
Like their little lives are just so precious. So you might as well fill it up with as much joy as you can.
We don't have as much experience past the toddler age.
Yeah.
That's our cat.
Little lives.
We've got little ones at the moment, and we'll just have to keep updating you and bringing Megan on when we have older kids and what we're learning
new
then.
things.
Yeah, we'll just keep sharing.
But if you can kind of get the gist of what we're saying, like, it's a party.
Yeah,
It's hard, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah,
and it is
so
such
fun.
a party. Another thing that I really love about raising humans is just remembering to savor the moments that you prayed for. For me specifically, and probably for a lot of you, maybe you've dealt with some infertility or timing hasn't gone as planned for how you wanted to build your family, or maybe it doesn't look like what you expected, right? And so even though there are hard moments, I have to remind myself, like, I prayed for this. I literally gave everything I had for this. We all did, And so remembering that, though, like, opens my eyes to the beauty and not just the difficult things. Especially, it's like small things. I prayed to watch my husband dance with my baby. I prayed to watch her toddle around and like figure out how to walk on her own 2 feet. I prayed to watch her giggle. I prayed to watch her say hilarious things, that are quite like normal, but she's learning how to talk. Like, I've fallen in love with her laugh. And I think taking time to notice those things and recognize the beauty and recognize the fact that that's something you wanted so bad makes all of it more impactful and more beautiful.
I love that.
So,
Yeah. It's like focusing on like gratitude too. Like just being so grateful that you have the beautiful, wonderful children that you do.
yeah.
Will really help those rough times where they're like super angry, throwing a tantrum or whatever. It like just remembering how grateful you are that you are their mom and you get those like amazing humans to raise and to love, and no one else does. Like, they're yours. I mean, you and your husband, of course. But just that special relationship that you have, and remembering just the gratitude that you feel towards that and towards your kids, like, will help in those rough times.
I do want to acknowledge those who may be in a period of waiting and a tough time for and desire for that. I personally can't even imagine how that must be for some people and the things that they've had to experience. And I just want to acknowledge those people that are really struggling with that and let them know that no matter what, you're an incredible person, and we love and support everyone on their journey of becoming a mom. So
I love that. Yeah.
I can't say it any better. I'm like, I just love you. Okay, we're gonna switch gears a tiny bit to finish out this episode. So we've talked a lot about birth and pregnancy and raising humans, and obviously there's so many more things we could talk about in all of those topics. But another really important one specifically for motherhood and what we wished before we became moms, what we wish we knew before we became moms, is remembering you outside of being a mom. And also remembering yourself inside of being a mom too. But remembering, again, as Marley has said multiple times, that you're a whole human. And you need to take care of you. You need to cultivate you and your personality. And things are going to change. Your priorities might change. Your amount of time you have for different things, like all that's going to change. And motherhood.
Seasons. You always say the seasons.
But it's a stretching, beautiful thing. But remembering who you are outside of just the title of mom is super crucial.
Yep.
I agree. And it's also like kind of hard to do that, because you get so sucked in. They take so much of your time and like attention, energy, like
mental load.
Yes, everything. You're so focused on them that it's like hard to remember yourself sometimes.
Right.
Like, I don't know how many times I've like forgotten to eat. It's like 2:00 and I'm like, I haven't eaten a single thing today. Like, you get lost in being a mom sometimes. And so I just fully agree. Like, it's so important to like just take a step back. Like, okay, I am still a good mom and still doing a really good job being their mom if I do this thing for myself, or if I like take the break that I need or anything like that. Like, I always hear it said like you need to prioritize yourself and your own health and your own well-being so that you can be there for others. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. And so that just applies to like being there for yourself, like giving yourself space to have a personality and to do the things you love and all those things so that you can be a better mom.
It used to really bother me. You know how on planes they say, put on your own oxygen mask before you put on someone else's. I mean, I've never been in a plane that's crashed, but I was just like, how selfish. You know, like these little humans, you gotta...
I'm just gonna put theirs on first.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to put it on. They're gonna be struggling for air for a while.
Not just that. I'm like, okay, say
kind of like it goes against our nature. Like we are, like as mothers, we sacrifice. Like that's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what comes naturally. So like.
But then I think about it more, and I'm like, well, why would you do that? Oh, so that then you can get their oxygen on them and then continue to help them past that point. If you pass out and they have oxygen on, awesome. But if they're small,
you're in the middle of helping them and you can't finish helping them. Yeah.
So I'm like, it really is so important that you do something for yourself every day.
Yep.
Even in amidst all of the crazy with kids, you know, to remember who you are.
Yes. Yep. Do something that helps center you, helps clear your mind, whatever it is, to bring a little bit of joy into just you. Just you.
Yeah.
And to Megan's point, like, it is a pretty difficult thing, so don't feel weird or funky if like you don't get it right away and it feels a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I remember we went on a girls trip, Marley and I, with a couple other girls. Sadly, you couldn't come.
That's good.
But we went on a girls trip and we left our babies
Yeah.
for a few days. And I had a 5-month-old, and that was really hard for me because I was like, she's wholly dependent on me. I'm very dependent on her. You know, like
Yeah.
we were bonded so deeply, and I was literally nourishing her. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. But I had a conversation with my mom right before I left, and she was like, go be Kylie. Like, just go be free. Be Kylie for a few days.
Yeah.
And you're
Not
going to
mom.
come back even more ready and prepared to take care of your kid. It's going to be even better if you can go be Kylie. And she's like, that's something I struggled with when I was having my babies for the first time. She's like, I wish I had done that for myself a little bit better. And so it was good advice.
And you want your kids to like see your personality, to learn you. Like, you don't want to just be this zombie of a person that's just like sacrifice. You want them to see the things that you love and to see like what you're passionate about, because that helps them like kindle their own passions and like find things that they love in their life too. So
I love that. Absolutely.
I think it's amazing.
I had a quote that I read. We all read this book recently. It's from Atomic Habits by James Clear. He said, when you cling too tightly to one identity, you become brittle. Lose that one thing and you lose yourself. So this just applies to exactly what we're saying here, is like, if you focus everything you have on being a mom and just all on motherhood all the time, then once that's gone, like once your kids move out, once they're like in school, they don't need you as much, then you'll feel brittle. You'll feel lost. You like won't know what your purpose is. And for me, I know my mom really struggled with that. She struggled with depression when my youngest brother started kindergarten, because she's like, now I don't have any kids at home with me all day. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? And like, that was everything to her.
Yeah.
But now, so that same youngest brother just moved out. He's on a mission for our church now, and I have seen that my mom has like learned from that like time.
That's
and
amazing.
she is doing like so much better this time. And I was worried because I remember like her
sad.
being sad,
Yeah.
and so I was like worried. But she has found her passion. She's writing books, and she is very good at it. And they're so cute, like little kid books.
I want to read them.
Yeah, I know. She's going to be so embarrassed that I'm like sharing this out into the world, but
I'm ready.
they're great. So anyways, like she's found that passion of hers that she like truly loves outside of being a mom. And I'm just like so happy for her, because it's just such a good thing to like have different sides of yourself.
Yeah.
So you're not just like when one thing is gone, you're just lost. And so
I'm so proud of her.
I
That's a really
know,
hard
me
thing to do.
too.
That's beautiful. I love it.
she's going to publish them on Amazon. So maybe
Oh, I'm a buy one. And
Yes.
we'll put it in our stories when she does. Just gonna get a shout out from Living Big.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, this has been an amazing episode. I feel like this has just been so fun to talk and get some of these thoughts out there. Hopefully it has been helpful. We'd love to get your thoughts, your feedback. Always love your feedback on Instagram, TikTok, ratings, reviews, and things like that. So huge thank you to Megan for being here.
Thank you.
For
I
being
had so much fun.
our guinea pig guest. This has been awesome.
It's monumental. I love it. And
Well,
we love
thank you for having me. It's super fun and like such a fun experience to just have my thoughts like centered around this topic and to just like really like dive into like how I feel about all these things. So it was really helpful to me too. So I'm thankful.
I'm so glad. We encourage you to do the same thing. Kind of reflect on your journey, what it looks like if you're not a mom yet, what it may look like if you are, just reflecting in general is so beneficial for us.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Living Big podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join us on Instagram and TikTok for all the things, from relatable mom memes to fun girls' night ideas with your besties.
See you next week.